Well, I'm going to hit this button.
All right, let's go. You have to intro us, though, because I don't hear the sound.
You're talking over it right now. Hello, friends.
Hey, man.
Hey, dude. Walter, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, despite the world state, I'm in a pretty good place emotionally, personally. Spiritually, I'm not really spiritually connected right now, but that's okay for me. And, I want to be, but I don't have to be, and I'm chill with that. I'm just enjoying the weekend. How about you, man?
I don't know, dude. I'm not. We're talking into the future right now, dude. So maybe coronavirus will be done on Wednesday. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is the future. So maybe actually I did get in touch. Okay, so I'm gonna do some hypotheticals here. Maybe in the next week I figure it out, and then all my chakras align, and I'm ascending, and my body's glowing a bright color, and everyone's observing it. So that's what's happening.
Yeah, dude, Super Saiyan God.
Dude, SSGSS Goku.
Yeah, dude, that's what you need.
I fuck with the rose. Goku Black, he goes Super Saiyan Rose. Yeah, and I always like that kind of flair to it.
It's pretty fucking sensual.
He's got this sick earring too. He's got this little dangly earring. Dude. Goku
Super
Black
hot.
is tight.
Hell yeah. This is Toma Chaos podcast. We hang out and try and crowdsource a religion. Even though it doesn't sound like that from any of the intros. And I'm Dave, and this is my co-host up here in the left-hand corner.
Oh, are we? Can you see us?
Yeah, dude. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm up in the left-hand corner. I'm Walter.
And
nice to meet you.
What's real rad is we kept talking about how cool it would be to be able to talk to Taylor again. So we just brought him back on. New week, new Taylor.
Kamehameha, how's it going?
What's up, dude?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Full circle back to DBZ.
Yeah, fucking A, dude. I love it. Yeah, how you doing, man?
Good. Excited to be back. It's been so long.
So very long, dude. One whole week.
Afternoon.
Hell yeah. Hey, do you guys want to know a secret?
I'd love to.
Yeah.
Whisper it, please.
That was a stupid dumb intro for what we're going to be talking about tonight. I didn't think it out good enough. We're talking about The Secret, guys.
The Secret from 2005.
Yeah, not the 2021.
Yeah, the 2005's Secret.
Yeah.
We just found out there's actually going to be, this was not like, there was a movie this year that came out.
It came out, I think it came out this month too. I think it came out in November.
Did it really?
That's
it's like
recent.
Connected to The Secret. It's called like The Secret back to back or something.
Yeah.
And it's like Katie Holmes is in it. And I don't understand how it's connected to the documentary / book by Rhonda Byrne, I guess. The Secret from 2005, but it is
The Secret,
it's a
Dare to
drama.
Dream.
Dare to dream. So we don't know anything about that.
No, it's a fucking drama.
I was just texting Dave and I was like, we should talk about The Secret.
I missed this whole thing because I didn't even know what the fuck you were talking about. Like, I didn't know.
I was going to ask.
Hand to
you
God.
Had no idea what it was.
No idea what the law of attraction was, dude. Well, 2005, I was super Christian, dude. You didn't look into that shit. You know what I mean? Like, I was in high school and shit, leading people for the Lord, Walter. I was like fucking leading Bible studies at that point. So I didn't have no time for The Secret.
Well, you missed out.
I missed out. So I had to learn all this shit. Taylor, Ed, did you know anything about The Secret coming into this?
I do not. I know like very small bits and pieces, but one thing I did just learn is that The Secret Dare to Dream is sitting at a 27% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Hell yeah, baby. Katie Holmes.
She did it. She made it.
Finally, dude.
Yeah, but no, I know that rich white women love it, so I'm excited to learn more about it if you can teach us anything about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I actually saw this shit firsthand. Like, okay, so my mom, I love her if she listens, so I want her to know I love her and I don't mean anything I say in a mean way. Her and her friends were like really into like alternative stuff, just like in general. Like they all got into like essential oils and Reiki and homeopathic medicine, all that shit. And so once The Secret came around, they were like about it, like as a group. So it's like 4 to 5 moms all like doing this shit hardcore. And by just the nature of that, I saw the documentary like probably around when it came out, maybe a little later, I'm not sure. And saw my mom making like a vision board and like trying to manifest her reality. So, okay, maybe I'm going too far to
rewind it a little bit and let me know what's happening.
Okay. Dude, no, hold on. I think that we need to ground rule right off the bat. We can't call this a documentary anymore. Like it's not though, dude. I didn't know. I kept waiting when they were showing like footage and shit, like that background footage they do of just random people walking in a fucking park and shit. Like they would do these and then it would be like people in a park, a slice of pizza, a random zoom in to a map, that doesn't fucking exist. And then it was like a tribe in some country and like blah, blah, blah. And they're hitting you with all this shit. And I was just waiting for something to come up and be like, Michigan, like come visit it, like everything was so fucking.
It is super
like
dated.
It was so addy and shit. Like are you trying to sell me a cruise? Yeah, like is this a cruise ad? Like,
yeah,
it's so bad.
It has a very marketing feel to it. The entire documentary, which is on YouTube for free in 720p right now. And if you guys want to tap in,
Netflix in 4K.
Oh shit!
It's on Netflix, baby. It's on Netflix. That's how I watched it.
So
is it just called The Secret?
Yeah, dude, it's real weird.
It's got like a wax stamp. The cover's like a wax stamp on like a old piece of parchment, and it says "The Secret" by Rhonda Byrne.
Dude, it's like. It's fucking bad, Taylor. It's bad.
Yeah, I'm like trying to find it. Just like I want a quick Google synopsis of it because I don't understand what we're talking about.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to like kind of walk people through. I mean, Dave, you watched it too. So
I watched it. We can walk through.
Yeah,
all right, let's start. Well, let's start from the get right off the bat. real quick.
Mhm.
And we don't have to do like a fucking critique of the documentary. Like we want to talk about it, but that's the only thing I know is the documentary, you know? So first thing happens is like this woman finds this book. I don't know if this is true. She finds this book and she's like, it's The Secret. And somehow she also knew that every great person that's ever existed also held the secret, you know, like she knew that.
So it's this Australian woman, Rhonda Byrne. She found this book called The Science of Getting Rich, which was written in 1910 by someone named Wallace Wattles.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it, but from what I can tell, that book is essentially just The Secret, but focused on money.
Oh,
So she took this money book and just like repackaged it as like a self-help kind of book. 90 years after it came out, she was like, "Oh yeah, we can just do this again."
Yeah, dude, it's ridiculous, and it takes like this point where it's like the greatest people knew this secret, and then it flashes through all these great people, and it's like all just white dudes, like all just white dudes that are like
Jesus wasn't necessarily white.
I don't think it said Jesus.
Really? I feel like he was in there.
I don't think it did. I don't think it did.
So
because as soon as you say Jesus, then you lose a lot of fucking people if you're trying to sell self-help.
I might be getting it. So I also read way back in the day, I read the book Conversations with God, which also kind of builds on these same concepts that are in this book, The Secret, of the law of attraction and manifestation.
The dude who wrote those books, wrote that book, is the chicken soup dude, right?
I have no idea.
I think he wrote it. The chicken noodle soup, good for your soul. You know those books?
That's the Conversations with God guy?
I think so. And it might be somebody else on the documentary wrote that book because I saw it as I was looking through it. But the reason I'm saying the chicken noodle soup dude, like, you know what the books I'm talking about?
Yeah, Chicken Noodle Soup for the Soul.
Okay, and he wrote 1,000 of them.
Yeah, for the teenage soul, for the grandma soul.
Yeah. For the teen Christian soul, like shit like that. Well, he is in the documentary. He's talking in the documentary. Like that dude is fucking nuts.
Okay. I don't think it's the same guy from what I'm seeing here.
Okay.
But I get what you're saying. There are a bunch of... So actually, the reason this secret was on my mind is we had just watched this documentary about one of the guys who's featured in the documentary.
Yeah.
The Secret documentary. He later went on to do self-help stuff, be like a motivational speaker guy. This guy ended up killing, I think, 3 people in a, what's that shit called? Where you like get in a tent in the desert and like get a sweat lodge.
Oh, yeah.
He was found guilty for like 3 people's deaths in a sweat lodge. And this was one of the guys that we saw in that documentary.
Jesus, dude. So
it's pretty wild.
So the secret basically is that dude manifested that.
Okay, yeah. So let's talk about what the secret is.
So
please, if I hear the word secret one more time, I'm going to lose my mind. I need someone to tell me what the secret is.
Basically, there's some stipulations.
Ask, believe, receive.
Yeah. Ask, believe, receive. So essentially you put out, I mean, it's like things we've talked to guests with about, of like chaos magic and sigil magic and shit, of like you kind of put your will and intention out there into the universe and the universe listens back. This boils it down to just like what you think about is what will happen. So like a lot of the ways it's used is you create these things like vision boards, which are essentially like a collage of things that you want or desire. So you'll be like, oh, a nice house, a new car, a good husband, whatever. Like you put all this shit on this board, you look at it, you spend your thought life on those things. And then by just the way life works, you get those things because that's what the secret is. You get what you spend your energy on.
Yeah.
The part that makes it super fucked, though, is the universe doesn't understand don't or do not. So like if you're thinking like I don't want to get sick, if you have that thought in your head, that means you are going to get sick. If you're thinking I don't want to get cancer, you will get cancer. Like it's this weird thing. So it's like you can't just manifest what you want. You also, if you have thoughts of things like anxiety, if you have anxious thoughts or negative thoughts, those are also going to happen.
They compare it to a genie. Mm-hmm. And when you rub, they do this whole like romanticized like Aladdin story with like, but not with like cool Robin Williams genie, but really bad Will Smith genie, like technology, and they like fucking summon this genie, and he comes up and he's like, the only thing that the genie says is, your wish is my command. Your wish is my command. Like that's all he says. So when you're thinking bad things happen, and good things happen. Like that's the thing. Very specific fucking things. Right? Like everybody mentioned a car. Everybody mentioned money. Like you envision this shit and then it happens. Like, they show this fucking scene of this kid. God damn. This kid wanted this bike so fucking bad. And he like saw his friends with his bikes and he's like, I can't get a bike. And then he didn't get a bike for a little while because, he had that bad thought about like, I can't get a bike. All my friends have them. And then he cut out magazine clippings and just focused on the bike and had a better attitude about the bike. And then some weird old man shows up to his door. Don't know if it's his grandpa. Like I have no clue. Like just shows up at the door, knocks, and has this kid's bike. And the kid runs out, and then the door shuts on him and the old man. And you don't know what the fuck happened behind that door. But the kid got the bike.
Okay. So he manifested the bike.
He manifested the bike,
it sounds
dude.
like he manifested a pedophile.
Yeah, dude, it fucking really did look like that.
The universe works in mysterious
That's what I'm telling you, dude. It was super weird. But it like, mostly, it's like, dude, this kid, like they said that this kid manifested that bike. Like that's what they were saying. And it's like more than manifested a bike. That kid wanted a bike. And like was drawing bikes and shit. And his parents were like, oh, the kid wants a bike. Buy him a fucking bike.
Well, I mean, okay. Yeah, obviously, yes. I think a lot of this stuff is like, it can be boiled down to some basic things. I think where it gets so weird where it's like, when you have just like your negative thoughts are going to kill you type shit. Like, I think that like there are good, valid things about thinking positively and like focusing on goals. And not worrying about how you're going to achieve those goals. Like that's a thing they talk about in the documentary is just like, you'll find a way, the universe will find a way, whatever. That's probably true. Like if you have a goal and you set your mind to it and you devote effort and emotion and thought to it, you will get somewhere with it. But when you're saying something like, if you're constantly thinking I'm going to get cancer, you're going to get cancer, it's like, that's where it really breaks down for me.
It's bad.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, the backing.
Like, do you show the flip side of that kid, the kid who got the bike? Like, do you show a kid who got sick?
Yeah.
You know, a kid who got cancer young, a kid who was abused.
Or do you show a kid who had their bike stolen from them from an old man who wanted to give it to this other kid who really wanted a bike?
That's behind the door, dude. This old man, the fucking Wizard of Oz, dude, just popping up. Look,
so it sounds like instead of you are what you eat, it's you are what you think.
Yeah.
Essentially, yes.
Yes, you are what you think. I think that, like, it's crazy.
Well, not just you, though, like the entire universe.
The universe. So they do this thing in the documentary, Taylor, that is fucking ridiculous, where it's like everybody, like, once they start thinking, like, they show them thinking of something. They show a dude in a fucking lazy boy wants a car, and he actually, like, starts driving the lazy boy. You know what I mean? Like, that's how deeply he's thinking about it, is he's driving the lazy boy, shifting gears and shit like that, moving through traffic. And then, like, at a certain point, this explosion kind of happens that they demonstrate that goes out of his body. And then it, like, pans up to the world and you see the earth shake a little bit. And then it's like, that's what the universe does. Like, that is how powerful you are putting your thoughts in, whether you like it or not. Thank God, thank God that it's kind of time rated. Like, they don't happen immediately. Like, one woman says that. She's like, thank God they don't, And this dude looks at an elephant picture, and then the elephant's in his room, and they're like, ha, joke, like, that's a little joke. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, they literally think that your thoughts shake the earth so much that you either get good or bad.
Do you remember the part about world, like, hunger, about, like, people, world hunger as an issue?
Yeah.
This is nuts. This is, like, the part that I was like, I cannot believe this is actually in this. They are talking about that whole concept of, like, whatever you focus on is what happens, even if you're saying don't have this happen. So they're talking about how, okay, so if everyone manifests things and what we want comes true, then how come everyone wants world hunger, like scarcity of food and countries that are starving, that we all want that to end, and yet it continues? And they were like, well, that's because you're saying stop world hunger, end starvation, rather than, like, everyone has enough food.
Yeah.
Like,
it's very like, specific. Your wording is very specific.
If everyone just thought, like, we already have enough food, nobody would starve. That's the shit these people are peddling. It's like, it is anti-activist. That's the thing that's so crazy to me. It's like, if you try to solve a problem, you are creating the very problem you're trying to solve.
Can't do it.
It is like complacency. It is a mindset that creates complacency.
Walter,
and it feels so insidious.
Walter, but you're forgetting the scientific facts. You're forgetting that, dude, that this shit, like, let me get you this fact real quick. This is from fucking Dr. Michael Beckwith.
Oh. I know him. I'm excited to hear this.
Hell yeah. Who's a visionary.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually Reverend. He's like Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith, and he's a doctor and a visionary. Mm-hmm. He started the Agape Church. Yeah.
Mhm.
So here we go. Science proves that a positive thought is 100% more powerful than a negative.
100%.
I'm just letting you know, Walter, the science proves it, dude. 100% more powerful with your positive thoughts.
Okay. I'm just wondering out loud here. How do you qualify what a positive thought is and what a negative thought is?
Walter, science proves it. 100% more powerful.
Is end world hunger a negative thought or a positive thought?
So I'm going to be honest. I'm actually at a conundrum with what we're talking about.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, guys. But I don't know. There's some things I'm thinking of. Did any of you watch or listen to Aquafina talk about The Farewell, the movie she did?
I've watched that movie. I haven't.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I love that movie.
What is that not The Secret?
Okay, you're gonna have to break that down.
Oh shit!
What I received from that movie was like, oh, another culture, love, loss.
It seems like The Secret. It seems like The Secret from what we're talking about, unless I'm incorrect. Dave, have you watched this movie?
No, I haven't.
So it is documentary style, based on this woman's family from China, where the elder of the family is diagnosed with cancer, but the doctor and the family, based on their cultural norms, decide not to tell the woman that, hey, you've been diagnosed with cancer, because in their culture they believe that once you have those negative thoughts in your head, like, oh, I have cancer, you start spiraling downhill.
Yeah.
So they refuse to tell her that she has cancer and just lets her live on her life without knowing that she has cancer, and she's fine.
Okay. So now that you've reminded me what the actual plot of the movie is,
it's The Secret.
I 100% see what you're saying.
Is that not The Secret?
That's
it is
The Secret,
okay,
dude.
But that's the thing, dude. That's the thing, is I think it is based in a real truth. I do think that okay. So
shit, dude. Taylor's taking the gloves.
I have more to say about this, actually, so let's continue.
Yeah, no, this is right up my alley. The placebo effect, right?
Uh-huh.
We have to accept that even sugar pills are 50% effective at treating a bunch of diseases. There's also the nocebo effect, which people don't talk about. Do you know about this one?
No. Do it.
So the nocebo effect is if you believe something will be ineffective, it actually lowers the effectiveness of the thing. So your belief in a thing affects its effectiveness. The opposite of a placebo effect, essentially. You also have neuroplasticity, which is a concept that I'm not even qualified to talk about. But basically, what it means is when you create thought patterns in your brain, they manifest in physical changes to your body. You can change your thought patterns in a way, because addiction is your thought patterns go to I feel bad, and you've built this neural pathway to here's how I feel better.
Yeah.
And it's whatever the substance, the stimulus, whatever it is that is your addiction, you've created this strong pathway to it. But if you spend your time thinking about other things, you can actually create neural pathways to those that your brain prioritizes. And you essentially, by being grateful or by thinking positively, change the structure of your brain in a way that allows you to change who you are as a person. So I do agree that there is truth to not telling Nai that she has cancer.
You remembered her name.
Oh, well, it's not her name. The Chinese people call their grandma.
Jesus Christ, Walter just took me on a journey, dude.
Yeah, so what was this called?
Huh?
What was this process called?
Neuroplasticity?
Sounds like The Secret.
Well, okay. But that's the thing, is they take this thing that's true and they twist it. Because anyone can sell you sugar pills. That's the whole market of the homeopathic medicine market. Yeah. I don't know if you know the principles of homeopathy it's become like a very broad term to just mean like home remedies. But the practice of homeopathy is you take whatever your ailment is, you take something that creates that ailment in the body. So a very popular homeopathic medicine is arnica, which is an inflammatory. It inflames joints and whatever the fuck else when consumed. So if you have bruises or, you're in pain, people say take arnica. The other concept of homeopathy is that the weaker something gets, the stronger the effects of it are. So you're treating inflammation with an inflammatory, and the more weak it is, the stronger the effect on de-escalating your inflammation is. So it's like incoherent. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work. They've tested it. It doesn't make any sense. But there are coaches in like the NFL that swear by it. There are players that like swear by it. There's tons of people who are all like, no, this fucking works. And I think you have to, at a certain point, just accept that like our minds do shape our reality, but maybe not in the physical way that The Secret promises us.
Yeah.
I think that there is so much power to, I hear like Elodie, my daughter, talking about like, she'll be like, man, that day really sucked. And I was like, I saw you on that day. You loved that day.
Yeah, dude.
You had so much fun. And it's like, okay, but then I've definitely done that too. I've like let one thing spoil a day, or like looked back on my memories with like disdain instead of fondness. It's like you really do get to choose what you live in to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
But thinking I'm going to get cancer is not going to give you cancer. I don't think that that's true.
But what would I need to think to get an SUV, do you think?
Dude, so that's one thing, right? It starts with money, right? Like that's like kind of the smallest thing. It starts with money. That's where the Campbell Soup dude comes up, where he's like, I actually drew $100,000 bill, and that's what I wanted to make in a year. I drew it and I stuck it to my ceiling, and every time I woke up, I saw it. You know what I mean? And I put it in my head that I wanted to do this, blah, blah, blah. I wanted to make $100,000. And then we made $97,000 that year. And did I get upset that it was only 97? No, it kind of worked. You know what I mean? Like he does this whole thing. And it was all just for like, he gives all of his like his thoughts on how much money he's made off the Campbell Soup fucking books. And he's like, it's all because of The Secret. It's all like, I put everything I could into this thing and it fucking came out. And it's money. Everybody else has stories like that. And all of them, something I noticed that's real weird about the documentary is they never want to tell you how long it takes. Right? But they never exceed 30 days when they're describing. They never exceed it. The Campbell Soup guy says it took 30 days. And then I got this weird interview with the National Enquirer that wanted to like talk to me about my book. And then like one woman's like, I can't tell you if it's going to take 5, 10 or 30 days. You know what I mean? They all like stop at 30 because they're like, it's got to be quick, guys. We can't just we can't tell people, maybe it takes 30 years for you to get married to that person that doesn't want to marry you, but you willed it into your life. It's a whole nother problem I have with it. It's like, do other people get say that don't know the secret?
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems like they don't.
Yeah.
It just fucking happens.
It is weird to think okay, so you have this personal relationship with the universe where what you say becomes reality. If everyone has that equally, where does the line get drawn? If I'm Dave's going to trip tomorrow and he's going to hurt his ankle.
Don't put that into the universe, Walter.
I don't want to trip or hurt my ankle tomorrow. Who wins? The person who believes it more?
Oh, yeah. It's weird, dude. It's weird.
Well, I mean, I guess if you thought I don't want to hurt my ankle, you will, because the universe doesn't care if you don't want to. You just, anything you think about happens.
It has to be very specific. And it can't really be a negative thought. Everything has to be in the positive tense.
That was another thing they talked about. And the fact that they kept talking about how your feelings are your guide. I didn't fully understand that whole concept.
No person understands the secret. The whole thing.
What's really funny though? Okay, so because this personally happened to me, I'd be driving in a car with I was young enough that moms drove me and my friends around 2005, and they'd be like, all right, everyone, we're pulling into whatever place we're going to. Imagine, everyone, put in your heads the thought of a parking spot right in front of whatever the thing we're going to is. So it would be one of my friend's moms literally asking me and a bunch of other dumb, 13-year-olds or whatever the fuck it was to be yes, a parking spot. What the fuck do you mean?
It's that example's honestly, used. Go for it. Sorry, Taylor.
Honestly, I feel really ashamed because there's a lot of things I've done in my life that I feel like is very secretive.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Are you imagining parking spots?
No, I'm not imagining parking spots, but I've definitely done things. And I've done really weird things that I feel like I should be ashamed of. I'm not in any way whatsoever, but I have weird little things that I do. And you can ask Louis, one thing it's not on the secret level of I'm gonna get a check written to me from Publishers Clearinghouse, but it's when I'm driving on a highway, for whatever reason I always point out trucks or cars that have a bunch of ladders stacked on top of them, and I call them ladder collectors. And it's just something everyone in my circle who's ever driven a car with me understands that hey, there's a ladder collector over there. And I've talked to Louis specifically. I told him you will never be on a car ride whatsoever when you cannot look around and be there's a ladder collector, because there's one right there. And then I've taken that to another level, and I kind of want to go find my little book. I don't know where it is, but I have done little stupid stuff where I've written down random words like peppercorn and wait until see how long it takes for that to come up in everyday conversation. And so now I feel like a little idiot because everyone's written down in this little secret thing, and I was oh shit, I've done little secret stuff.
No, I don't. Look, okay, I don't want to make anyone. If anyone feels ashamed about anything right now,
you did
I'm sorry.
it. No, look,
That's not what I meant to do. Here's what I'm trying to avoid. The part where you think that the bad things that happen to you are your fault.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to avoid.
Yes.
If you if you believe I imagine a parking spot, I get a good parking spot. That's no harm to anyone. I don't give a fuck. I don't think it's true, but that doesn't bother me. And if you think it's true, more power to you. If you think I gave my friend cancer because I kept thinking they're going to get cancer because they smoke cigarettes, I don't want you to think that you did that to your friend. That's fine. You know what I mean? Like,
it's definitely,
we all have like little things that we fucking, I think that the word that you wait to come up is really fun.
Yeah, I think that's so funny.
It is fun, and I recommend you try it, because now like I'm like curious, because I feel like on like a very minimal level that there is some of the stuff that I actually kind of am totally fine with and thrive with.
I think that I'm totally cool with like, I think so. To be, how's the best way to explain this? I was thinking about this when I was talking to Sarah, and we were watching it together, and she was like, the problem with a lot of these self-help things is that they always base some of it in some type of truth. And then at a certain point, it gets kind of fucking wacky. And the wacky thing is that like, if you tell a bunch of people that they can just think cancer away, that's a problem. You know what I mean? One of the other things they said that fucking pissed me off, it's very Jordan Peterson-esque.
Oh no.
And it just says depression is just a bad frequency. Like they're comparing like what a positive frequency is you sending positive shit out, and a negative one is that bad frequency. So shit gets jumbled and then you get depressed. Like that you're depressed because you've been putting out like bad frequencies, and not because it's a chemical imbalance. You know what I mean? Like so when you start like trying to put all that shit in that box, it gets really sticky, because it's like I know, dude, like when I'm manic, I'm thinking about everything I fucking want to do. I want to create. I want to fucking do these things. And it happens. I'm willing some of that to happen because I'm manic and I'm like wanting to be in the mode of creating. We created this podcast when I was manic. I became a photographer when I was manic. People started paying me for prints when I was manic. You know what I mean? Like, but I was going out and I was doing it. I was also showering more. You know what I mean? Like, I was also fucking better at like taking care of my teeth. I was better at like not drinking. Like all these things like kind of lined up with it. You know what I mean? Because those things happen when I get manic and when I'm starting to like create and shit, that naturally those things start to fall in line. It seems to almost give your world, it takes some of that chaos out of your world a little bit, you know? Yeah. So I understand that on a fundamental level, that like you can, like we talked to Tiffany about sigil magic, and I was like, that's fucking rad. But Tiffany also never claimed that witchcraft was this thing that you just thought about and then it happened. And it was like it was more about you put in time and effort into thinking about these things and also moving towards them.
The thing with sigil magic specifically that's different, because I immediately drew the correlation of like you put what you want out there. But sigil magic is you're burning your thought or desire into your subconscious, into a level that's below your everyday thinking. Whereas like manifestation is very much at the conscious level. It is your everyday. Yeah. So like the whole, I mean, she said it herself. She said, set it and forget it. Like you create the sigil, you burn it in, and then you forget about it until the thing happens. And I think that that's the same with like prayer. Like, I mean, as a Christian, you've known people who have probably had like prayer journals or like kept record of their prayers. I think that like the way of putting something out there, revisiting it, and then you have this great luxury of like looking at everything in hindsight of like the things that don't line up, you just gloss over them. But the things that did come to pass, you're like, wow, that's an answered prayer. It's more about like gratefulness than it is about like genuinely creating a scenario, right? Maybe I'm
I think
off.
I think that's right. I think that my whole I don't have a problem at all with people wanting. I mean, I do have a problem with like that positive vibes only kind of attitude. Like I don't like that in our culture.
Yeah.
At all. I think it doesn't have a place here, especially for anyone who hasn't had positive vibes, you know, like, or the opposite of that. And it's that's a problem. But I don't take issue with The Secret in the way of like, it seems like it's like, you know, you can will good things into your life. Like, dude, I'm fine. Will all those good things into your life as you want, you know? But when like, you know, that story, you remember the story in it where the dude was like real about his grateful rock, like his gratitude rock. He found a rock and he was like, every time I touch it, I think of things that I'm grateful for.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And that helped me with The Secret. So he was like, every morning I put it in my pocket. Every night I take it out of my pocket, and every time I touch it, I think of things I'm grateful for. So he created this thing in his head. And I was like, at first I wanted to knock that shit super hard. You know what I mean? But then I like was thinking about it and I was like, dude, it's super cool to be grateful for shit.
Yeah. I mean, gratitude, it's like a recipe for happiness.
So here's gratitude, the next,
100% is.
Here's the next thing that happens is he says he met an African man,
the South African guy.
The South African dude. He was like, I met a South African dude, and he asked me, like, what was I doing with this rock? And I told him about the rock. And then he went home, and then like 4 months later, I get this email about how his kid had like some herpes infection, right? And his stomach was swollen, and he was going to die. And he was like, do you mind if could you send me some gratitude rocks? So the dude mails this dude some rocks, and 29 days later, because it never goes past 30 days, 29 days later, he gets an email, and the kid is safe. He's healthy. And that's fucking beautiful. Thank God that kid lived. That's incredible. That's awesome. I don't want you to think I'm taking away from that. But then he was like, oh, and now we're selling these gratitude rocks.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like now we're doing like these rocks cured your kid, and it's like weird shit happens. Miracles happen. People have cancer one day and don't the next. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I'm also not saying the people who that happened to only had good thoughts.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying that if you have bad thoughts and take all the medicine you can to cure yourself, you're not going to get cured. You know, it's like, it's just such a crapshoot, you know? This thing, it tries to make it so positive, like, so, or not positive, but so, for sure. Like, it is certain, with all certainty. This is what it is.
It is definitely like, here is how you do it, right? Like, this is the recipe for success. This is the recipe for money. This is the recipe for a relationship. And when there's like a monetary incentive, obviously you're going to promise people that. Yeah. Like, I mean, the person who made this documentary and sold these books made millions of dollars. And you're not going to make millions of dollars saying like, hey, being grateful is actually just going to make you kind of happy in general. Yeah. Like, you know, I mean, it's concrete that like what this shit says is bullshit, right? Because if you just believed things were going to cure you, they would. Like, people wouldn't go to chemo and fucking die afterwards. They'd be like, oh, the chemo's there to cure me. I get the chemo. I don't have cancer. I'm good. But no, you still die sometimes. That's the fucked up thing. And you're not going to sell books saying that. Right? Like, you know what I mean?
I totally agree. For sure. Like, I mean, I think that I'm about people being happy for sure. But the problem became when it was like, this is, you have bad thoughts and you're fucking gonna die.
Oh, you know what it reminds me of is, have you ever heard of breatharians?
No.
So breatharian, and this is a real thing. It sounds like I'm making something up. A breatharian is a person who believes that you can survive without water or food, just air.
Hell yeah.
And these are real people. This isn't like a joke, like the Flying Spaghetti Monster Church or whatever. Like, these are people who genuinely believe all I need is air to survive.
So they've not eaten?
I mean, there are people who do it. They believe it so much that they do it, but they get sick or die because you can't do it.
Yeah.
And then you also have like the people who like, I don't know. It's so hard because like these things like have so many like transitional lines of like where they go and how people like represent them. Because you also have like the Tibetan monks who like also don't like eat and like mummify themselves. And you also have like the flip side of like the people who are like, I eat sunlight and like vitamin D. And like I've done it for like 94 days and like I now know like how to like talk to God. Yeah, it's also confusing.
It is. It's wild stuff.
Eat
food and drink water though. I mean, like
at a minimum.
I'm down to say like, yeah, you can do some fasting here and there. Sure. Yeah. I think fasting might actually be good for people. But at the same time, it will kill you if you don't eat. Not eating will kill you.
Correct.
And not drinking water will kill you.
Very correct.
Yeah.
No matter how much you believe it won't.
Do you guys look at The Secret in any way whatsoever of like, hey, you've gone too far in this aspect, but like if you stopped it right here, yeah, you got an answer?
Yeah.
Or is it all bullshit?
Yeah, no, I don't think that it's all bullshit. I mean, I think there's parts of the Bible that if it would have stopped at a certain point, you know what I mean? Like, and then we would have been good. You know what I mean? Like, I totally think that, you know, like, I just don't think that, I mean, when I first started watching The Secret, it was like, one of the things it also said was like at the beginning, like at first everybody kept this to themselves. Right? They like the higher ups of the world kept this all to themselves and they made people work and shit. And it like almost had this like weird slavery vibe to, you know what I mean? Like the richest people in the world all do this. And back in the day, they did it and fucking kept people in poverty. You know what I mean? And like that's where it's like, all right, this is already too far because now you're saying that like dudes who are slaves aren't free because they're not wanting it bad enough.
Yeah.
You know, like that's how deep it goes of like, it's not this surface thing. It's not this like, you know, it's not, I mean, I think sometimes like, there was like there's like people who would talk about like, always whenever they look at the clock, it's always a certain time. You know what I mean? Like, dude, that happens to me all the time. 4:50. 4:50, dude. When I wake up in the middle of the night, I wake up and the clock says 4:50. Like when I look at the clock, like at a certain time at work, it says 4:50. I could almost claim that anytime I'm going to look at a clock, it's going to say 4:50 because of how weird it is and how many times it happens. Right. Mm-hmm. And now it's like in my head and I think about it. So it's probably even more so, you know, like I believe that. I believe your brain does that. Like I believe that like just as much as it can be chemically imbalanced, it can also be rewired. You know what I mean? Like you can try and figure that shit out, or at least figure things out that help you to cope with that. You know what I mean? Like all that I'm totally down with. But when you're like that slaves thing, you know what I mean? What about slaves? What about people who are like abused in abusive relationships? Like they even in the video show kind of an abusive relationship like get better because like somebody knew the secret and started doing it, you know? Yeah. Like that's where it gets like I think it goes from like this thing that could be really cool to almost dangerous, you know?
For sure. Yeah.
Like that, I guess that's what we're talking about. Is like it can get to the point where it's dangerous, you know? Mm-hmm. Like one of the dudes, like I think that even where it's like this dude was like, I just stopped envisioning bills and I started envisioning checks come to my mailbox, and I was like, that just doesn't. Like, I don't know if that helps you not to get bills. Like bills come to your house every month, you know? Mm-hmm. And then he was like, and then I started getting checks just randomly. I started getting checks because I put that into the world. And then that dude is going to like prison for taking money from people to play the stock market with that he didn't give them their money back. It's like, that's where your checks are coming from, homie. Like you were just grifting people, you know? So yeah, I think that that's where the attitude gets wrong, is like nobody wishes for fucking shitty things to happen. Like people aren't wishing for that. And just because they had a bad attitude, I get your bad attitude could give you a bad day. I don't think it's going to fucking make your kid die, you know, or something like just as much as they give like the small money things, they also give like curing cancer, you know what I mean? Which is huge. And they do the same with the bad thing, you know, like it could be a bad day, or your kid's going to have this weird disease that swells his stomach. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's like, it's a system that's based in truth, that like thinking positively leads to a better life. There is a placebo effect where our bodies are capable of things that we're not aware of unless we like activate some kind of subconscious level of thought. But it's not going to make your fucking bills go away. The same way, like, I mean, I've known Christians who are like, I prayed to God that I would have the money to pay for a thing, and then I got this check in the mail from some obscure thing that I wasn't even thinking about. And would you believe it or not, it was the exact amount of money I needed to pay off the thing that was going to fuck me. And it's like, you know, it's everywhere. It's not just like only in these like weird self-help book things. It's in normal religion. People find some kind of thing that's maybe a coincidence. Maybe it's maybe there sometimes are genuine instances of your perspective affecting the outcomes of the situation you're in. But I don't know. I'm just afraid of people going too far, and not in like a weird way, but in the way of like breatharianism, or in the way of you know, flat earth or whatever the fuck else. It's like you need to accept a certain level of realism and build on that and keep things in check.
Or that, I mean, people get fucked, dude. It's not just what they like put into the world. You know, like, I think that it almost, to me, sometimes ties into that pull yourself up by your bootstraps shit too. Like, that's where it gets hard for me, is like, it's like there's so many people who can't do that, apparently, you know? And I have a hard time saying to them, like some of these people, man, they like really, they preach it, you know, and that's what they're doing. And it's like, I feel real hard telling someone like, your thoughts just weren't right in the right place. Like, you have to think differently of that, you know?
Yeah. I do feel, I don't know. For me personally, I feel like there's a very minimal, like, fun aspect of what we're talking about. That, like, kind of opens your mind to, like, how, like, weird and, like, small the world is. I think, like, one thing I went through recently was the fact that I had to get a new car just within, like, the last couple of weeks. And when you look at it from, like, that perspective, it's crazy how, like, when I decided on, like, the make and model of the car I was getting, it was absolutely insane how, like, you just drive around, you see them everywhere. And it's like, like, so many of these cars exist and so many of these people have them. So from, like, the perspective of, like, the quote unquote, like, secret level, like, I can see how, like, just opening your mind or, like, starting the thought process of, like, X is going to happen, you can suddenly start seeing, like, that all around you. Just because, spoiler alert, you're not, like, a beautiful, unique snowflake. There's so many people around you going through the same exact bullshit. So it's very easy to, like, identify, like, oh, look, it's, like, copy and pasted everywhere. So, like, from that level, I think it's, like, even though it's not, like, a mystical, magical thing, it's still, like, really fun to look at. Because, like, to me, like, personally, like I said, like, it's fun to write down a word, like a random ass word that comes to your mind, and, like, eventually you'll hear it, and obviously it's because you've told yourself to listen for it, but it's still, like, fun, like, to do, and obviously, like, you're not hurting anyone by doing that, and obviously, like, if you're going with it of the mindset of, like, my niece is no longer gonna have cancer, then you fucked up somewhere. But yeah, I think there's, like, a really, like, small level within there that is identifiable and, like, real.
Yeah, I agree. Dude, recently I noticed those things a lot too, where it's like, we got a car and I never thought, like, I would ever, like, I never knew those cars. It's like a fucking purple Honda Pilot, like, it, like, and now literally I see them all over the place. We're driving it, see them all over the place. I fucking, dude, one time I pulled into Michael's, and I pulled in right next to a car that was like, was our car. It was our identical, same color, same make, everything. And I pull right in and I'm like, oh, that's weird. And in my head, I even thought, I was like, man, wouldn't it be so weird if the person came out and, like, confused the car? You know, that would be hilarious. And then it happened. The dude came out and tried to open our car door. We were both startled heavy, you know, I do think that sometimes it's just like, either, you know, that it's going to happen, you will it. I don't know, you know, I don't know why that happens. Your brain's focused on it. Like, I'm all for it. You know, so I do think on those small levels, it's fucking incredible, and it's fun, and it's like, and maybe it helps you fucking get through the day. Down with it. Totally down. Like, I love that about people, of how they create things to get them through, you know, like, whatever that needs to be. But, I guess I'm never going to be cool mentally with, like, the negative side of that, you know, of like, man, I really wished this into existence. I get, like, if you're depressed and you're not showering and you're not eating and you're not fucking taking care of yourself, It might be hard to get a new job in that time. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that, but it's not like you're wishing that upon you, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think to me, it's just like whenever you make it a magical thing, it's like from everything we observe, we mostly adhere to a set of principles or rules that like the physical world has to adhere to. And once you're like, okay, well, you actually get to supersede those rules by doing X, Y, or Z. It's like, well, it doesn't really work that way. I think like The Secret can do probably wonders for you mentally. If you're a person who's not grateful, if you're a person who thinks negatively, shifting your perspective on your life can radically change it. It can radically change your life to just change your perspective, be grateful for things, look at the positives, expect positivity in the future. Not focus on what's not going right, for sure.
Yeah.
But as soon as you're starting to like think that the entire universe is bending to your will, I don't think that's unhealthy. And I fear for the same thing that I fear for with like people getting into Christianity. Like, I'm super stoked that you feel forgiven and accepted and loved, and that you have the answers. You have your new dad who cares about you, maybe in a way that your old dad didn't. Whatever, like Christ is your dad, God is your dad, whatever. Everything's good now. But as soon as you're like, well, I'm a piece of shit. Well, I'm bad because of X, Y, or Z. Well, I can't, here's why I'm forgiven. It's like all those problems with yourself kind of coming up, and they compound. Like that, I think that there's a truth that's like being positive and focusing on what's right and being grateful helps you. But when you also have to accept the other side of I'm bad, it ends up hurting you, right? Like, I don't know. I think that there's like a weird thing there. There's like, I don't want to just say like, don't ever think you're bad, because like, yeah, we all fuck up. But there is definitely an element of like any system that's telling you like you brought this on yourself. I don't know if that's a good system.
What do you think, Taylor? Do you think bad thoughts will bring bad things?
So in a way I really honestly do, which is unfortunate, but if you remember the last time we talked, I spoke about how like life, everyone's kind of like writing their own story.
Yeah.
And everyone's their own author and writing their own book. And if you start reading a book and you start like you're on chapter 3 and everything's like going down like hardcore, and like people are like dying and like disease is coming and everything sucks, like you really don't expect to get to like the final chapter of the book and it to be like a really like happy fun time. Like you kind of like you got stuck in that mindset of, oh, here's where the story is going. And this is how it's probably going to finish. So I don't know. I do have like a quote unquote mindset of like, yeah, obviously, like if you hate everything around you, you're only going to like see that hate and let it like fester and become larger than it is and like go down that route. So it's hard. Yeah. I can very much see it both ways, which is very hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'm also one who's like super susceptible to like ritual magic. I think is super fun, and I like the like concept of it. even like on a low level, like if you look at like Pennsylvania Dutch magic and like powwow magic, I think it's super fun. And so if you can put like, I don't know, to me, it's like, if you put yourself in the mindset of like, what I'm about to do is going to quote unquote help me, you'll probably get more help than if you thought like what I'm about to do is going to absolutely fuck my life over. There is like a placebo effect of like your thought process. If that makes sense.
No, I think it totally does. I mean, I guess I think we're all like, I think that we're all on the same boat with that. Like, I guess I just don't think that you can, like
hardcore alter and like hey,
give yourself cancer. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's where I'm against.
Or like give someone else cancer.
Yeah.
Right.
Or
like
that.
I think that's where it like gets even more sticky is like, yeah, one thing is like, oh, I worried too much about getting sick and I got sick. Like, yeah, that's a hard truth to swallow and it sucks, but maybe it's true.
Yeah.
But for you to be like, I worried about my mom getting sick too much. And then because of that, my mom got sick. I don't know if that tracks.
Yeah.
Like, because at that point, it's like, well, did your mom not think about how healthy she was enough? Like, I don't know what the answer is there.
Yeah.
Like,
and then I guess that like, there's always like that overarching, like large level of like, do you like believe in like string theory and like, do you believe in like personal like universal bubbles and like, you know, Walter, you're in your own bubble, I'm in my own bubble, and as soon as I start thinking about like Walter's going to be hit by a car, I suddenly like transition away into my own bubble further away from you when Walter actually does get hit by a car, but in Walter's bubble he's never thought about that, and so he doesn't get hit by a car, and now we're in our own little personal universes where we created something on our own.
I'm all for fucking different universe. Like, and I'm all for it. Like, and maybe you split, and maybe we've split 1,000 times, and maybe there's a real dark timeline. You know what I mean? I'm all for it.
That's fun.
I'm all
fun.
For it.
But where's that? I mean, what's the evidence for it? Other than like it makes sense on some quantum level of like, I think that's where I like, yeah, it's fun to think about like, what if we all have our own universes?
Any religious belief in this world.
True, but if you go by like Occam's razor of like, what's the simplest explanation? Mm-hmm. There being an infinite amount of timelines where like everything is happening all the time. It's like we have no evidence for it. It doesn't seem like the simplest explanation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It could be true.
Dude, I'm
not going to put any more weight on like multiverse theory than I am going to put on, you know,
I'm super
Christianity or whatever.
Listen, I'm super about like this thinking about Walter getting hit by a car thing and all. But,
hey, why are you super about that?
Yeah. So what I'm saying, like, hey. But I think that my I'm about like there being like 1,000 different universes and like shit like that. Especially like, I mean, dude, I grew up with Spider-Man and shit, you know, and like some of my favorite shit was the time jumping shit. You know what I mean? Armored Spidey.
Armored Spidey was sick, dude. He had the silver.
Yeah, dude. It's so dope. Ooh. And he was like rich and shit. Like he was Iron Man.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, he was rich. And he built his own suit.
I think we should eat armored Spider-Man.
Eat armored Spider-Man. Fuck all rich people, dude.
Where's the guillotine?
Yeah. No. So I'm about that life. But if I'm talking about in my generation, if like I thought that if I was like, man, Walter might get hit by a car. You know what I mean? And then Walter got hit by a car. I don't think in my head I would be like, oh shit, I fucking made that happen.
Yeah.
Guys, if I get hit by a car in like the next month, I'm gonna be so mad.
Oh
at you
my
guys.
God. If it happens, dude, if it happens, we fucked him, dude. This might be, we might be. Look, but you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't have thought that I did that, like that I made that happen. You know?
I will think that you did it. If it happens, I'll be like, this is Dave and Taylor's fault.
Yeah, dude.
Just so you guys are like on the same page as me.
Yeah.
But if I
gonna
find
blame
out,
you.
dude, but if I find out that in some other timeline, Dave here said that, and we split bubbles, and then more bubbles split, and then like, and then in one of those bubbles, Walter gets hit by a car, I might be like, damn, dude, I did that. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't want it to touch this plane.
But if it does touch this plane, you won't accept responsibility.
Nope, dude. Not at all.
All right, I guess I'll just fucking pay my hospital bills myself then. Fuck you, dude.
Yeah, we won't keep it.
Oh, shit. Yeah. I think that I just don't want shit to get like, you know, I think that was a big thing with like, wasn't Scientology real big into that too? Like staying kind of away from medicine and shit like that and willing shit. And it's like, I don't completely believe that people shouldn't seek medical help. Or think like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Like that's kind of isn't that a natural thought? Like,
you are going to die.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, like, even in like just normal day, like if something sketchy happens and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And then I die. Did I wish that to happen? Or if I survive, did I, you know, like what's the negative? What's the positive? Like, how do you, you know, explain that? Like, and some shit you just can't explain, right? Like I totally agree with that. One of the dudes used this, like, he said, he was like, I mean, think about it like electricity. You know what I mean? And I was kind of down with that even. Like, I was like, oh, yeah, man, like electricity, like it does flow through people. You know what I mean? In a way, like, I think that we are made up of electric and like the way you can like change the room based on who you like, how you enter it and shit like that. Like your attitude kind of like follows other people and shit. Totally. Yeah. I'm totally down with that. But when the dude brought up electric, he literally just said, like, think about electric. Nobody knows how electric works.
Well, he didn't say nobody knows.
He was like, he was like, you can't figure it out. Like, he was like, it's a mystery, but it works. You know, like, that's what he said. I wrote the shit down.
Just to be fair, I think the point he was trying to get at was that we don't need to understand how something works to believe in it.
I mean, it just seemed like I'm pretty sure he said nobody knows. It just works. He was like, nobody knows how it works. It just works.
All right. Well, I guess I'm giving this guy a little bit too much credit, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, so I agree with you, Taylor, on all that. Like, I think that, you know, those vibes do exist and shit, and like can make you feel, if you're grateful, you can be more happy. You know, if you start changing these small things about your life, like those start changing bigger things. Like, I do believe in that.
And the world is such like a large place. Like I said, literally do what I do. Look for ladder collectors. Like everyone listening to this, if you're driving around, look for a ladder collector. You're going to find one.
Hell yeah.
Look for someone who has a car with a bunch of ladders on it. You'll find one every single day. I find one every single day, and I always point it out, and Louis gets mad.
So you point out like someone who has a bunch of ladders on their car?
Yeah, you'll always find someone. You'll always find someone
with just a bunch of ladders.
Yeah, at least I usually tell people do 3+ ladders, at least 3. It's like you find lots of like, you know, I work for AT&T. I have 2 ladders on my car. now, like for 3+.
Yeah.
I think we've gone up to like literally like 16 ladders.
I live next to ladder collectors, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. For whatever reason, there's so many ladder collectors. I love it.
I mean, for me, there are people that work in like HVAC. Like I know their secret identity of HVAC workers.
Weird little things like that. And I used to do, I don't do as much anymore, but just write down a couple of words. And I think it's so fun to like see how long it takes to come up in like everyday conversation. Just write down a fucking word. It's so funny. Mm-hmm. And like secret or not, it's still interesting of like how small the world is and like how very ununique your thought process is.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Like I hate to tell people, like I said earlier, you're not a unique snowflake. There's so many people like you, and we have so much stuff in common. It's so sad to see like how against other people can be, because we're all super similar.
Yeah, I mean, it's comforting at the end of the day. Like,
yeah.
People that have nothing in common on the surface can be almost identical. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful.
Super tiny secret homework. Write down a word. See how long it takes for someone to bring up that word.
I like that. I feel like whenever I was a kid and I'd find out about like a new word or concept or something, it would always be in like the newspaper or like a comic like the next day.
Yeah. Comes up real quick.
But that's just got to be like your awareness shifting.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
yeah, it very much is. And there's nothing wrong with being more aware of what's happening around you.
No, absolutely not. We all should be very aware of our world. But we also, that's again where I draw issue with The Secret, is we should be engaged with the world that's happening around us. Mm-hmm. The solution to the problems of the world shouldn't be to not think about them and think about them being solved already. That doesn't fix things.
Yeah.
We need to literally spend our effort and our thoughts and our energy on affecting the world around us. Because, I mean, there's just evidence of it. There's evidence of, I mean, the civil rights movement, the women's rights movement, like every movement within our country at the very least, you can see people who took their time and effort and said, like, here's what we want. We're going to physically do something and get a result from it. We're not just going to think like it's gone. Like, I think the thing that like I really resonated with, like when they were talking in this documentary, is like, it felt like in the early 2000s where we're like, let's just not talk about race. Racism's over. Let's just not talk about it anymore. And now in like 2020, we're like, oh no, there are still KKK members. There's still fucking Nazis in America. This whole like, let's just not talk about it thing did not work. We need to talk about it, and we need to explain why it is a bad, fucked up idea and we shouldn't do it. Like, we can't just say, you know, if we don't talk about it, it won't happen. Those people are still going to talk about it. We need to talk about it too, to combat it. That's where I'm like, that's The Secret's problem to me, is like, you can't just ignore a problem. The problem needs to be solved.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. Well, that was The Secret, dude. That was the secret I wanted to tell you guys.
I'm so happy that you shared that with us, Dave.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think that if you're doing shit that makes your life cool, and better and doesn't hurt other people, if that's manifesting a bike from a weird old man down the street, like that's rad. Fucking do it. Like,
hell yeah.
Get your bike. You know what I mean? But don't like go out there and try and give people fucking weird diseases and shit with your thoughts either. Don't do that. You know?
Well, you know, here's the things.
Are you gonna fight against this?
Be grateful, love each other, focus on the positive. Don't take the negatives as your fault, and also ignoring a problem won't solve it. And that's it.
Yeah.
Sweet.
That boils down my concepts on The Secret.
Hell yeah. Do you, Taylor, you got anything else, dude?
Watch for all those letter collectors.
Hell yeah.
Because there's something bigger going on, and we're gonna figure it out.
Do you think yeah,
they work in HVAC. I already know the secret.
they're
something, and we're gonna figure this out.
Dude, they're allied with the robot birds, dude. There's no birds. They're all robots. And you can't tell me any different.
There you go.
My daddy used to say that.
I know.
Anyways, follow us at Tome of Chaos Podcast everywhere. Follow Taylor at Doolittle Gaming on Instagram. Look up reincarnated.com.
Yeah.
We love you guys. We hope Chaos walks with you. Do we have a verse?
I don't have one.
The Secret, can you keep it? I surely cannot.
Hell yeah. Hey, rate us 5 stars on iTunes. We love you all. I hope you have a great week. We hope Chaos walks with you. Goodbye.
Peace.